So today we're joined with Patty O'Callaghan, Head of AI for the Architecture Engineering Group at Charles River Laboratories, and Google developer expert in AI and cloud. And we're looking at unpacking the future of software development and AI in an AI first world. How are you doing, Patty? You well?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about this episode. We were trying to make it happen since a long time ago, so very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Patty, let's start with the developer themselves because that's where the biggest shift is happening. Developer roles are changing at high speed. What does a great developer need to be good at now and that wasn't as critical 5 years ago?
I think one of the most important things to mention is that the developers, they still need to know the basics of the work, right? The basics of software engineering. But now they're more like architects, right? They need to come in and put the pieces together. And now AI is more into writing the actual code, right? So the developers is less and less the way they are actually writing code. I remember last year it was more like auto completion. You were coding and the AI will suggest you what to write. Now it's almost the code is completely written by AI. So I would say very critical for the developers to don't wait any longer. Learn how to use AI for the software development lifecycle. That means writing code, reviewing the code, putting the pieces together, understanding about context, about spec-driven software development, and so on. Because I feel, and I have seen this, right? Developers that, especially the seniors one, you have been working in a certain way during decades, right? And suddenly AI is writing code for you. And I have worked with people that, or not necessarily at work, the senior developers that they would say, oh, my code is better than the AI. And that was true maybe last year, but it's not true anymore, right? AI coding is getting better and better and better. And I think that they need to change their mind into, okay, it's time to adapt. It is just what it is. And I think that's the most important thing. Adapt and learn the AI tooling that you need to use every day for software development. Because the change is, it has been quite like progressive in the last few years, but I will say that since, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, it has accelerated in a like overwhelming speed. So we cannot keep on waiting. Oh, well, I'm going to learn about it maybe in 6 months. Is really not the case.
The time is now.
Yeah, 100%.
So with AI generating code tests and then documentation as well, which skills are becoming more important for a kind of developer to know, and then which are less important?
The piece about documentation, like testing, is absolutely crucial, right? Because we cannot, as of February 2026, deploy AI code to production without reviewing it and without testing it. Like, we can't do that. So there's always a very famous term, human in the loop. We need to have like a human barrier that will check, and in this case will be the developers that will check that the testing is passing, like the tests are passing, that the code is correct, that is following your own coding standards or the coding standards of the team. And then documentation, AI is fantastic for documentation. So, and documentation, I think is the most hated part of the job. I don't know. Well, I know in the long career that I have, very, very few developers that actually enjoy the documentation part. So AI is very useful for that. So I will say testing and reviewing the code that the AI is generating.
So because of AI over the last number of years, in your organization, do you have less developers?
No, actually, no. Actually, I'm hiring for my team right now.
Right. Do you get any pushback from the developers saying that the part of the job that they'd enjoyed the most, which was the coding, they're not doing, and they're now doing the kind of mundane, not so likable aspects of the role? And is that an issue?
No, not really. I think it's because we still like, and I would like to think that this is a general opinion for developers. I enjoy coding a lot, right? I don't code as much as before, but I still do it when I go and do workshops in the conferences and all of that. Sometimes I help the teams. One of the most fun things of this profession is solving a challenge, solving a problem, right? You have a challenge you have a goal, and we're still doing that, right? We're still solving issues. Maybe a team needs a particular application. We still need to build it. It's just that we are using a different tool. We're still are the ones that are going to drive the solution, right? What are the, let's say, you need to set up the server, you need to, like, many different tasks. The developers are still like the drivers. It's just that now we're not writing the code line by line. We are asking the tool in natural language, right, in English, those requirements. So I think it's just a little bit of a change of how we approach that.
Thanks for that. So you work closely with large engineering organisations. Are teams actually ready for this shift, or is there a widening skills and mindset gap?
I don't think the teams are ready. There are certain organizations that are fantastic in the way they have been approaching AI. Can I mention it? Can I mention one? So, for example, one that I really admire how they do it is Nearform, which is a company, an Irish company. They have a fantastic approach to AI, and they have been moving really fast into integrating it in the engineering teams and integrating it well. Then the thing is that it also depends on the kind of organization, right? If you are in a highly regulated organization, things go slower because you need to, get approvals. There's a lot of red tape for a reason, compliance. So if you see big banks, they are implementing AI, but you still see that is not at the level of innovation that we're seeing. You need to move really fast. And I still see organizations where they barely use AI. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to play out, like by the end of this year, because as I said, the speed the last 3-4 months is absolutely overwhelming, like we have never seen before.
Mm-hmm. What's the biggest misconception for developers then about AI assistants? Do you think they're overestimating them or underestimating them?
Underestimating them, yeah. No, the code is not good enough. The code is AI slow, blah, 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 blah. And the thing is that another thing that I have seen is if you tried to code something 6 months ago, 10 months ago, which in AI time is like, 5 years ago, and probably you didn't get really good results. That happened to me, right? Like you were like, oh yeah, but this is not. And then they stop using it and they say, oh no, this is rubbish. But the thing is that it keeps improving very fast. So I always tell them, when was the last time that you try it? Oh no, it was like last summer. And I'm like, no, you like forget about it. You have to try again because it's like a different thing, totally different thing.
So beyond tooling, how do you see AI changing engineering culture? How teams collaborate, review work, and take ownership?
I don't think, honestly, I don't think it's gonna change the way the dynamics of teams, because I always tell the teams, it's like when they, let's say specifically for AI assisted coding, right? You have to see it like a very smart. It's another member of the team. It's like another coder, but this is faster and it's getting better. So you just need to integrate that into the process of a requirement, all of that. And then it's also, I guess, is how you handle the expectations with the stakeholders. Let's say the marketing team is requiring something, they are planning maybe the work for the first half of the year. This is what we need. Now suddenly we can make it in 1/10 of that time, and suddenly it's like that huge difference between time and delivery. And if you don't manage that expectation correctly, because if we can make something 10 times faster, the other teams cannot really, like, they can't expect that we are going to do everything 10 times faster, because that's not how it works, right? There's other processes apart from the coding. So it's also like trying to balance that. I think it's going to be tricky until everyone gets like used to this new way of working. Yeah.
So if we look now, the AI across the software development life cycle, across the SDLC, planning, design, coding, testing, deployment, monitoring, where does AI genuinely deliver value today, in your opinion, Patty?
I think everywhere, but again, the coding bit, the testing bit, is where it's delivering more value, because if you think about it in terms of time, of course, and you have a team, you have as an organization, let's say you have a team, you have a certain budget to run through the year, and you're expecting from this team we are going to develop X project. Suddenly that's going to be way faster because of the coding bit, because the quality will be higher, less errors, and now the AI is able to check its own code and fix it before it gets to the eyes of the developer. So now it's even faster. So I think that that's the most important piece, because again, we still need the human skills to understand. We understand the full context. We understand that maybe the director of another team, they don't like certain stuff, so that, or that we better not deploy this right now, maybe we need to wait 2 months because we have a big event. So those things we still need the human bit, but the coding is just the biggest value.
Should they be using AI earlier in the process, like for requirements design and architecture, rather than just code generation?
Yeah. So for example, let's say the product owners, who are the ones that maybe a product owner is in charge of a particular project, they are the ones that say what to build, right? And the engineering teams, they say how to build it, right? But the product owners are now using AI to work through the requirements, to provide clear documentation, so the development teams can start their work. So yeah, absolutely. I really think that AI is going to automate and help in a lot of things, but the again, the human skills of organizing and driving the car is not going to be replaced ever.
So, in your opinion, Patty, inside a global organisation, what does a healthy AI augmented SDLC actually look like in practice?
Well, the most important thing, I think, is the guardrails, right? Is having good policies around AI, good security, because it can go but really, really fast. So one of the most important is a pillar, it's a foundation. Good guardrails, good security checks. What are the tools that you're using? What are the things that you can do, the things that you cannot do? Privacy, we need to follow regulations. So that's you need to start with that. And then you continue, because again, we're being bombarded by new tooling, new things, new approaches every single week. And if you don't have that, you can start having, developers testing stuff, and then it's not secure, and then you're sending the personal information of your clients to a server in China, stuff like that. And it's also teaching your teams around the responsible use of AI, right? That's very, very important. And then we can talk about the whole AI literacy part of the whole issue. But yeah, I would say that's crucial.
Thanks for that.
What about your view on AI generated tests, QA and validation? When does it work well, and where should teams be cautious?
I think it works well, and is fantastic. I love it. But again, you really need to, before deployment, a developer, like a human, needs to validate that everything is in order. But AI is fantastic for testing. Not only now there are tools that they are doing the testing even in the front end, and they're manipulating the browser. Is brilliant, but and we should use it. But again, up to the point that there's like a human that needs to validate that everything is in order.
Don't let AI push the big red button kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
You still got to have a human. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly.
So how do you stop teams from over trusting AI output?
Well, I think is if you really think about it, this is a problem that teams have had since even before AI. I have worked in teams in other companies where a developer is creating code, and it goes to the phase of the code review, and the other developers, they just press the button and it gets merged, and they don't really maybe they don't spend too much time into actually reviewing the code because they're busy with their own tasks, and that's how you end up not all the bugs, but you might end up with a bug in production, and it's because they just say, oh, this guy is really good, just merge it. So I think it's the same. We still have that problem. Is every developer, they still need to have and to be responsible of the code that they're reviewing, not only the code that they are writing. So it doesn't matter where the code is coming from. Could be an AI or a person. They still need to be responsible into reviewing it. So I don't think is I mean, they can also overtrust a senior developer, and the senior developer that he was sick and tired and just created, wrote a rubbish piece of code. Is kind of the same.
On the next section, which is talking about kind of AI governance, guardrails, and risk management, and you've mentioned guardrails a couple of times already. You've implemented AI governance at enterprise scale. When it's done well, what does good AI governance actually look like?
AI governance is a big topic because it needs to cover many different things. So I say first is the definition of the AI strategy of a company. What is that you really want to achieve with AI? And then you start building from there, the policies that you have to write. You have to involve legal, compliance, information security, the data teams, cloud. Like you need to involve everyone, and then each team, they work on their own vertical. Okay, what is that legal needs to work on regarding AI? What is the engineers, the data team, and so on. But it covers many different things, from the implementation of, how are we going to implement the first AI tool that is going to be available for all the employees. We did that last year. And Charles River is a big, big organization, right? And we got to a point like, okay, we are going to open the door for everyone, absolutely every single employee, to use an AI chat tool, right? Some of a bunch of people, they haven't used it before. Some people, they don't like it. Some people, they are against it because of climate, resourcing reasons. Some people love it. So you have this very different kind of like skills and approaches to AI. So that's why and I can't stress this enough, it's absolutely important for every organization to have an AI literacy plan. And bring everyone into understanding what is AI, what is really AI, what are the things what are the risks, and so on. So, and we did that, very good results, but again, it's a big challenge. And I think AI governance, also, of course, you need to have it in place depending on the organization, depending on the part of the world that the company is based. You need to have the AI governance structure in order to be able to be compliant with the regulations, let's say the EU one, which is the most important one right now in the world. So you also need that AI governance for that. But it's still a new thing, and we still have lots of organizations that are not there yet. It's very difficult because every area there it's just new, so they don't know how to implement it into their own business units. So yeah.
There's a common fear that governance slows teams down, but you argue the opposite, Patty. How can governance accelerate innovation?
It kind of slow things down in the sense of, and I'm talking about the specifically engineering, right? It kind of slow things down because if I want to, for example, yesterday a new tool was announced and I really want to bring it to the developers, right? But I know that it's going to take at least a month, right? Because we have these guardrails in place where the information security team, they have to evaluate the tool. They run their tests to make sure it's safe for us to use. So it's going to take some time, and we want that, right? We want to be able to to be sure that the tools that we are using are safe and they're secure. So again, in the pace of AI, how the innovation is going, a month is a lot. So by the time that you get something approved, there's a better tool or a better version. But it is what it is, right? And we need to be like in peace with that. But then you have, let's say, a startup. They can do whatever they want. They decide, I'm going to use this, and next week, throw everything away. We're going to use this one now. So that's the let's say the disadvantage. So there's I would say pros and cons, but yeah, that's the situation in big organizations.
Mhm. What are the biggest AI risks that engineering leaders tend to underestimate?
I would say security risks, right? If you are not checking the output and you are also using tools that are not approved or are not approved, that's a risk. So for example, oh, I switched to Spanish, sorry. For example, yeah, I don't know why I just switched. Yeah, we have a problem that is called shadow AI. Shadow AI is the use of unapproved tools, right? AI tools. So if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, let's say, you're not paying as of today, because some changes are coming, but you're not paying, like you're paying with your data, right? Everything that you put in there is going to be used to train the models. That's how you're paying. Ads are coming up, so now they have a different model. But that's the thing, that's the risk. If you don't provide the right tooling, there are two risks, right? One, let's say put in API keys and suddenly you don't realize, and that gets deployed, stuff like that. I have seen it in other with colleagues from outside my company. And then also, leaking of information if you're using unapproved tools. So those are some of the biggest risks, I will say.
So, excuse me, in a regulated environment, how do you evaluate and approve new AI tools or developer assistance without creating friction?
Well, I think it's all about collaboration, right? And it has also been because for the information security point of view, they also had to make flip a switch in their minds, as well as the engineers, to understand how things are changing, and that they also needed to adapt their process of evaluating tools to be a little bit faster, right? Because of the requirements that we have. But I think the most important ingredient here is collaboration and trust, right? Collaboration between the engineers, the engineering teams, and information security, and also the trust that we have in each other. I know that they're doing their best. It's not that they're there to say no to every requirement, every request that we have. They're there to do their job of keeping the company secure, and they also need to trust us that the requests that we are making, they actually make sense, and we are that are very well thought, and we have we really need those tools, and it's not that we are requesting every single AI tool that is coming into the world, because that will they will it's impossible. It's way too much. So it's trust and collaboration reduce the friction 100%.
So what core principles or frameworks should every organisation have in place before rolling any AI out across engineering teams?
Yeah, I guess, again, the AI strategy is very important, right? And to have that that the teams, they have a level of AI literacy as well, training available, and the tooling available. And with this process of verification that the toolings are the right ones, are secure, and that we can deploy it. And then we need to have these processes to enable the teams to use AI, and that is with the tooling and with the training and the processes that they need to follow. So we have very specific processes that we need to follow to deploy the code, for the whole software engineering, the software development lifecycle.
Thanks, Patty. Can we look at the future of engineering teams? And in your opinion, looking ahead, what does the engineering team of the future look like? What new roles or responsibilities do you see emerging?
I think I have been saying since some few years ago that we need to be prepared, and I'm seeing it. We're not going to be software developers anymore. We're going to be fully software architects. That's how I see it. Because is mostly putting the pieces together, validating and putting the pieces together. Because right now, AI cannot, well, let's say as of February 2026, AI cannot automate absolutely everything and be connected to, the infrastructure. I mean, it can in a very, very, small scale, but for organizations, big organizations, that's not the case. So I just see the teams about like putting all the pieces together like a Lego builders.
I mean,
It's
for
gonna
listeners,
change. Yeah, no, I would
sorry.
say it's changing a lot, and it's going to change more, like radically.
I suppose for leaders then listening today, what are the one or two things that they should start doing now to prepare their organisation for that shift or for this shift?
Training, and training. Train everyone. Um, every training into AI literacy should be adapted to the business units, but bring that training, and it has to be like a constant. It's just not that you're going to train them today and forget about it for the rest of the year, because it's just going way too fast. I think training is the most important thing, and of course the security part, because it can be catastrophic, can be bad. But for example, another thing that leaders need to understand, which is another big change that we're seeing, and let's talk about organizations where their websites are very important to, to be a channel of getting new customers, or maybe they provide a service through the website. AI discovery is changing, like the way people search for stuff obviously is changing a lot, and you will see organizations that they were used to be the kings of SEO, and a lot of visitors coming from organic, from Googling and stuff like that. Now that's dropping, and people coming from AI chatbots is going up. And sometimes they don't even come to your website anymore, right? They're just reading the information and that's it. And if you want your website to, to appear as a recommendation, as a source in the AI chats, you need to make a lot of changes to your website. And I think they haven't realized that. And by the time that they realize it, it's going to be too late. So that's another thing that I will highly suggest to the leaders. Have a look, talk with your engineering teams or the company that made your website, and ask, how is the website or your websites prepare for the huge change into how people are getting to your website.
You've worked across the engineering, AI, and global developer communities. So where do you see the biggest opportunity for teams who get this right early?
It's just they're going to be prepared for the tsunami that we're going to have this year. This year, like since 2022, everything has been changing, but this year is going to be honestly a tsunami. So the teams that are already prepared and have already integrated AI in the right way are going to be prepared for that. I think teams that are not, it's just the end result will be the companies are not going to be able to keep up with releasing, new products or updating their products, spending time maybe maintaining a legacy system. The organization is just going to be left behind, the whole organization. So that's the risk. And for the developers in particular, right? If you don't learn how to use these tools, if you don't learn how to properly integrate AI into your workflow, if you end up needing to find a new position or you're applying for a new position, if you don't know that, people are just not going to hire you, because organizations, they want the developers that know how to integrate this, because there is no enough time to train developers. Like, maybe not today, but at some point this year, there's not going to be time to train developers on this. So you really need to learn these skills. It's crucial.
Can I ask then, see on like productivity with companies, and you'll see tools out there that'll say something like, this will save that person 10 hours a week, or that'll save this person 5 hours a week on automation and AI, that kind of thing. Like, how much better percentage wise, the 200% faster a week, or they saving 5 hours using coding? Like, is there any numbers that you can think of that?
I'm gonna give you an example. So
Just mind blowing.
yeah, I'm gonna give you an example. There was we needed to work. One of my teams needed to work on a particular set of tasks, right? And we calculated, right, using our standard ways of calculating, estimating how much these tasks were going to how many developers we needed and how long these tasks were going to take. And we estimated 3 developers in 3 months, right, for this set of tasks. So I remember I said, okay, let's do something. I want to try this. I'm going to be hidden in a cave for a full week. And I'm going to do this with AI. Of course, I'm a senior developer, right? I have been developing my whole life. I have the understanding of how these AI tools work, right? So I was able to put the workflow in place. And I managed to do the whole work, 3 months, 3 developers in a week, 8 hours per day. Again, with the caveat that I'm a senior developer that is highly specialized in AI, so I know how to do it. But that can give you, and it was like a mind-blowing moment for all of us that, my leaders, we saw the results. They didn't believe that I was going to do it, by the way. And I was like, oh, you're challenging me. Like, let's wait until the end of the week. They were like, no way, Patty, this is too much. You're not going to be able to do it. And I'm like, oh, no, you will see. And even myself, I was like, this is mind blowing. And so that really changed for us. Like we all understood the power of this. And I think that one of the most, obviously it was brilliant to create all of these, work on all of this fast. The best moment was when the lead of that type of technology in the team, the developer, he was going to review the code. And I was a little bit anxious, to be honest. I was like, oh my God, what is he going to say, right? I was like waiting for him. And he reviewed the code and then he said, this is fantastic. Like, this code is almost perfect. He needed to do some tweakings, but he said, this is fantastic. So what I was a little bit stressed until he said that. I said, okay, this is it. So yeah, that maybe can give you an understanding why am I saying that this is going to be a tsunami. Because those are the kind of estimations that are like 3 developers, 3 months, 1 developer, 1 week.
It's a 2,500% productivity increase.
Yes, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, of course. Then we have another problem because it's not that, like I said before, it's not that the other teams are going to hear, oh, they can do this in like so fast. It doesn't work like that because we need to aggregate the time that developers now need to spend reviewing this huge amount of code, right? Because before they were reviewing bit by bit. Every developer will be doing, a bit of the work. They will spend some time during the day. But now they have this mountain of code that it just keeps growing and growing and growing that they have to review. So obviously that's going to slow things down, right? So the acceleration that you have on one piece is going to slow down because of the human, guardrail where you need to check that code. That's why the QA part that you mentioned, Michael, the testing part doing by the AI is so important because if you have the tests and the tests are passing, at least you know that and you can see the code with a bit more of confidence. But that's the situation.
Patty, as you look across different industry sectors, do you see sectors that you feel are using AI efficiently and you can see that the sector's advancing? And do you see other sectors where you think that they're not getting it, they're not adopting it, and the downside of them doing that?
Again, I think that the sectors that are highly regulated, they're going to go slower because of the red tape. There's nothing that they can do about it. Even if they want to include it, as fast as possible, is not going to happen. And another very interesting sector, which has a lot of challenges but a lot of opportunities, but I do understand the challenges, is education. Because it's tricky, right? So I'm gonna give you. I always mention this to everyone when I'm talking about education and AI. So my kid, he's in the final year of secondary school, right? And when he was sitting his hires, the hires are very stressful. They need to study a lot. He needed to get straight A's because he's going into medicine. So the stress is very, very high. Of course, you start seeing these. So imagine my kid goes to a really nice school here in Glasgow, so he already has that advantage, right? He goes to a really good school. Then his parents were able to pay a tutor if he needs to. He already has another advantage compared to a kid that maybe is studying. He's coming from a rough area. I don't know. So 2 advantages. Now his third advantage is that because I know how to use the AI tools, we don't pay for any tutor, right? We bill his tutors, and I made sure that he was using the tool in the right way. Same with my daughter, but she's already in uni. So, and they know how to use these tools to study, to practice, and now that the tools are getting better and better and better. Google has a fantastic tool that is called Notebook LM. I don't know if you have seen it. I can, every time they're releasing new stuff, and now he's using that to study for the advanced hires. So I feel like every student, every school, every university should be teaching how to use AI responsibly to the students, because it's such an advantage, because it's a very tailored tutor for your kid. Like, it adapts to what the kid needs to learn and what the kid is already, like, imagine. And then you don't have to pay for the tutor by the hour. It's there 24/7. You just have to pay for the the monthly fee. So I think that education is one area where they're still not there yet, and for a reason, right? But it's also going to change incredibly. And again, I don't like for the kids to use AI and then they're not going to have critical thinking, right? They're going to lose that bit. So and you can stop that if the approach to the use of AI changes. So that's why it's a challenge, but a very great opportunity.
Thanks, Patty. This has been incredibly insightful. A full look at how AI is changing developers, teams, and the entire software lifecycle.
For anyone building software or leading engineering teams, it's been a great conversation, a blueprint for what's coming. Yeah. And one final sentence then, Patty, what's your advice to anyone trying to implement AI responsibly, effectively in their engineering organizations?
Yeah, learn about it, learn about the risks, learn about the ethical use of AI, the responsible use of AI. It's about educating yourself into the best way to use it, but always keeping in mind responsible AI principles, and it's not obviously the way we use the technology per se is crucial, but also how we as humans use the technology to provide something that will help someone or provide a solution that will tackle a specific challenge. So it's putting that in the balance, but the most important thing is to have this human-centric view around the use of AI, right? That it has to be beneficial. So I would say that.
So, Patty O'Callaghan, the Venezuelan with the Irish sounding name, thank you. It's been a powerful conversation on how governance, transformation, and AI enabled engineering come together to shape the future. Thanks for your time, Patty.
Thank you very much for having me. It was really fun. I'm always, if I'm talking about AI, I'm always going to have fun.